Hello, welcome everybody on today's show, Meet the Passionate Souls of UBI. Today we have come in with a very different concept and a very different personality. Have you ever realized what is it like to be a caregiver? Do you know what caring is all about and or what is caretaking? Caretaking is a full-time job in itself and how important is the role of a caretaker in the lives of those people who have an ailing family member to be taken care of. Ask them what exactly is caretaking. We don't realize it until we go through it. Caregiving demands physical, mental, and emotional stamina. The well-being of a caregiver is very important. For for the well-being of your patient, for healing of your patient, it's very important that the caregiver is in a right frame of mind, physically, mentally, and emotionally. They face new challenges every day. Along with the challenges come unexpected gifts of strength, patience, and understanding. There are a lot of people who are really struggling with their loved ones. When it comes to taking care of people fighting diseases, critical illnesses, or even behavioral issues, this role of caregiving, it squeezes out full energy from the person who's taking care of the patient without them realizing it. But once you realize it, you know where to go. Here we have one such place where you can look up to. In case you are a caregiver or somebody who has a patient in a house and are looking out for some support emotionally, physically, as well as mentally, emotionally as well. So that's place you can go to, caregiversaathi.co.in. Yes, I'm talking about a website though, but it's a lot more than only a website. Here we have today with us on our live show, Meet the Passionate Souls of UBI, a passionate biker and the founder of Caregiver Saathi, Bhavana Issar. Welcome, Bhavana. Welcome to the show.
Delighted to be here. Thank you for those very kind words. I'm very happy to be here.
It's a pleasure to host a show for you, and it's I think I'm sure everybody out there, whoever is waiting for us, I could see there were a few people waiting already before we could go live, and that was a real delight. You know, people are still interested in something like this. They are not shunning away the concept as well as the importance of this particular theme. So, Bhavna Issar, on behalf of all our UBI family, I welcome you to our show. Thank you
Thank
so.
you.
Just a small brief about who is Bhavna, though we will hear about it from her as well, but a little bit which I know about Bhavna. Bhavna is a very passionate person and with diverse interests. She is the founder and CEO of a business consulting firm, Sambhaavna, and a social venture entrepreneur. Social venture entrepreneur, and that too of nothing else but Caregiver Saathi, which is such an amazing concept. I'm sure I mean, abroad I can see there are a lot of such organizations, but I am yet to come across many organizations doing such wonderful job in India. She additionally is a fellow and a facilitator in process work with Sumedha's Academy for Human Context, and also a first global ambassador of Global Moto Adventures. You know what it is all about? It's a platform that supports women motorcyclists to achieve their dreams. She is also a visiting faculty to IIM Ahmedabad, member of NTL and ISPSO. She is an alumni of XLRI, Jamshedpur, and an iGold Gestalt OD practitioner. Some of you might have also read her story as a biker that was featured in a book authored by best-selling author Rashmi Bansal. And today we are glad to share that even her story of Caregiver Saathi will soon a part of UBI's upcoming anthologies. So she is a part of UBI now and currently based in Mumbai with her family. Join me to welcome Bhavana Issar on the platform. Thank you
Thank you
so
for
much.
having me.
Thank you so much once again. So,
Thank
how
you for
does it
having me.
feel to be with UBI?
I'm delighted. I'm delighted. Thank you for the honor and the privilege. So
Thank
excited to hear about your work and happy to share what I can. Very happy to be here.
Waiting to learn so much from you and hear so much from you, in fact. Before we start on the other questions, Bhavna, tell us something about yourself as a person. Who is Bhavna? Who is Bhavana Issar? We know as a Caregiver Saathi's founder, we know somebody who's a biker, but who is Bhavna as a person?
So it's the eternal question, right? It's the question that will have, that one is always seeking for. And I think I'm a seeker. A lot of people will call me a seeker. A lot of people, and I myself consider myself to be a restless soul. And I do think I'm a person who, gets interested or distracted or attracted by the latest shiny new thing. So I'm an early adopter, so I take to new technology very easily. I like new ideas. So that's who I am fundamentally. But a lot of people might also describe me as this very moody person who could be grumpy and intense and willing to talk about the dark things. So that's also me. But I think fundamentally, I'm somebody who passionately believes in the potential of human beings and desires equality or wishes for gender equality, maybe opportunities for everybody. Just a better world, I think.
Wonderful, wonderful. We need more souls like you, I'm sure, and then the world will be the best place to be. Though it is really a good place to be still, but still, there are places where we need to fill in. So I pray to the Lord that He's sending more souls like you on this earth to make this a much better place, more beautiful. Bhavna, as I've just also told everybody, you are a biker, and having read your story as a biker, can you share with our viewers about what are your personal experiences as a biker? And more so if you would like to focus on female bike.
So I think I never knew that I would be so fond of motorcycle riding as much when I was younger, and I think I just took it like it was one other thing that I could also do. So when I was much younger, my dad had a scooter, and learning to ride the scooter or being given access to the scooter was almost like the rite of passage. If you became an adult, you got the right to ride the scooter.
Absolutely.
Right? So I wanted to do that. And to be able to get that, he was this classic Fauji who said, unless you get your license, you don't get the access to my scooter. So I had to get the license the right way to get the right to his scooter, which meant I was an adult. So for me, initially, just having access to his scooter was like a milestone to be crossed. It was only in my Excel days that, there used to be many of my classmates, mostly men, who had motorcycles, and they could ride, the town and the shops were a little far.
Yeah.
So some of them had motorcycles. And it was a big trip. So, if girls wanted to go, they had to sit behind the guys. And it was a matter of excitement, pride, which girl went with who, and so on. And my thing was, I don't want anybody to just take me to I don't want to be a pillion. Just give me your bike. I can take it myself. And that's where I had a couple of friends who were very kind and who were willing to share their bike. And that's where I learned to ride a motorcycle. And even at that point, I don't think I thought of it like something I would passionately do. It was just a means of transport. But obviously, it was quite cool that you could ride a bike, and it was a girl who was riding a bike and so on. It was only many, many years later that I realized that how much joy I got from being on a motorcycle and feeling a sense of freedom and complete control that, when you're riding the bike, you can feel the breeze in your face, and it's a simultaneous experience of freedom and control. So it's exhilarating, it's thrilling. It makes me feel nice. There's no other explanation. So I have had many, many experiences. When I used to be younger and riding my scooter in Delhi, I would have some horrific experiences of young boys on other vehicles wanting to distract me or try to throw me off my vehicle. Because, you can do that. Guys can be bullies. But when I was much older, or I would go on rides, I remember going for my college reunion to Goa. And in going there, a lot of people asking me, what if the bike breaks down? What would you do? But I have found very, very helpful people. People are very nice in general. Yeah. People are very helpful, even if you don't know where you are. So I have met the nicest of people during my motorcycle rides.
Any particular incident would you like to share? Sorry to interrupt you. You go ahead. Yeah.
Absolutely. There are 2-3 incidents that are I'm very, very fond of. There's one in which we were on our way to Mana Pass. Mm-hmm. And Mana Pass is in Uttarakhand, and we were 7 women going for the first time to that particular point, which is the highest motorable road, quite challenging. I was going for such a long ride for the first time, and I was with one of the riders. And because I was much slower, I was behind. So the two of us were behind. So we stopped at a point which looked like a beautiful point. And we said, okay, let's just take some rest. At that point, that was near Hemkund Sahib. So Hemkund Sahib is a very revered pilgrimage for the Sikhs. And at that point, a couple of riders who we had been seeing along with us also came and stopped at the same point. And although we were a little anxious, like suddenly somebody's coming and stopping, and what could this mean? These guys spoke in Punjabi, and they came and they said, "Tusi apni bultan te kithe ja rahe ho?" What? On your bullets, where are you guys going? Bultan te kithe ja rahe ho? Yeah, so he said, we are doing this ride and blah, blah, blah. And so they were really sweet people. So this guy says, very nice. Can I take a picture with you? And I said, sure, why not? So I was laughing and I said, photo to le loge, but photo ka karoge kya? So this guy says, apni votiyan no dikhange. We show it to our wives. There are women who ride and who we saw and who were on the motorcycle. So I said, votiyan no dikhate doge, but votiyan no bulta bhi leke doge ki nahi?
Wo zaruri hai.
Correct. So this guy said, that's a very good idea. Votiyan no bulta bhi leke denge. So, like one little exchange happened, and that's it. And I thought that it's over. And we were on our ride, and much later, I could see the same riders again. And here's what happens when you're motorcycle riding, right? you build a bond just by being riders. You kind of wave to each other. You know this is that person. But after some time, we reached a village or a shopping area, and this guy tried to stop me, and I was alone, and I was a little afraid, and I was like, okay, now what's going to happen? Did I become too friendly too soon? What did I do?
Get too scared, yeah.
So this guy just pulled out a packet and gave it to me and said, Hemkund Sahab to thode le. It was a packet of prasad.
And getting goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps, yeah.
And I took it. I was on the bike. I just took it. I didn't know what to do with it. So I just put it inside my jacket. Yeah. And we went on, and it was that's what it is. And after some time, and I met my friends, and my friend was having some trouble with her bike, and I wanted to help her. So I was not so mindful, and I got off my bike to reach her fast. And there was a nala by the side, and I didn't park my bike properly. So my bike is heavy. It's about 200 kgs. And because I hadn't parked it properly, I fell in the ditch with the bike. And these people had to come and pick me up. So I fell on my side. And when I fell on my side, and I was pulled out later, I realized that my rib didn't break. My rib did not break because that packet of prasad was in my jacket.
Oh my goodness.
And the ditch.
Oh my goodness. This is really amazing. So I always believe in God being around everywhere. He's the one who takes care of. So probably that was his way of handling the situation, and he sent them. Then God sent kind of, oh my God, this is what this is.
You can make whatever meaning you want to make out of this.
I am a God-fearing person, or rather God-loving person to a very great extent. So I believe in him too much. So probably that I could connect it in that particular way. Amazing.
It's one of my favorite stories. It's a story that I tell to myself to remind myself that I should have faith.
Yeah. So I always say, whatever happens for the best. But there's another thing people may say that it's always, you can connect the dots whenever it happens. Something or the other will connect to the other part of whatever is the sequence. So it's just probably connecting the dots, and I connected to the God. So that's probably because I am God loving, and whoever would be that way.
Yeah.
All right. I think there might be people watching us. So everybody, whoever is watching us, please feel free to ask questions. We will take up questions, and we will also try to answer whatever we can. Although we do have a lot of list of questions, but from our side also, but maybe we can squeeze in a few questions. Feel free to ask. And thank you so much for watching, whoever is watching us. I go ahead to, okay, about the bikers. I mean, any thing which you would like to say for any aspiring bikers before I go on and change course of my conversation to another part of your life? Any kind of tips or any suggestion, any words you would like to say for aspiring bike riders?
So when somebody is an aspiring bike rider, so I think, that person has the desire, so there is no problem. So then, just get yourself a bike and get on with it.
But it's not easy. You can't just get on a bike. Like I love it when I think of it. But that fear, how do you get rid of? Anything which you can suggest?
No, you just have to get on the bike.
Just get on and go. That's all. You have to try.
That's the thing about fear. Fear is not just about motorcycles. Fear is not just about life. Fear is not just about death. Fear is not just about being alone and abandoned. And I think all those fears are good, and fears protect us. And fears are good things to have. They make us cautious. Fear makes us careful. Fear makes us responsible. So fear is a good thing to have. Not having fear is another psychotic problem. So some amount of fear, I think, is good. That said, that said, there is no getting around fear. One has to make fear one's friend and yet do. I think there's a very popular saying, something like, courage is not the absence of fear, but the courage is to be able to do what you want to do despite having fear.
That's
So, yeah.
wonderful. Bhavna, changing the course of our conversation towards your professional life, I would like to ask you, what was that moment when you decided to switch over from your 9 to 5 corporate job to being a social entrepreneur?
There wasn't a moment, so there wasn't one moment.
Which were
I,
those moments? If you can
I
share.
think, yeah, absolutely. There are parts of the work that I have done professionally that I like to stay connected with. I really like the fact that, organizations come together and people come together, and there is a challenge of creating leadership environment or culture or change, and I really like that, and I think that it can be quite challenging. So I stay in touch with that part of what my professional career gave me. Um, I don't think I really left my work, but one of the things that I did was I changed the shape of how I was working. I was working like an employee in an organization. I am now a partner with an organization outside the organization, but I still continue to work with organizations. And I added on to that a few things that I wanted to do. I think there are a few things that happened for me that were very, very important at a certain point in time. I have spoken about it before, so this might be a little repetition. I think I was going through something like, whether you call it a midlife crisis or you call it a questioning about, so who am I and what am I going to be? What is really the purpose of my life?
Yeah.
And do I do I want to be this person who led the life that I had led so far? And clearly it was not satisfactory enough for me. So I just felt that maybe I must do something that I feel gives me a sense of purpose. And I must do something that I feel feeds my soul. And what could that be? So my mentor or my guide, Raghu Anantnarayan, in one of the learning theater labs, asked a question: "What is your dharma?" So my leading a dharmic life is about being able to take your personal suffering beyond yourself and be able to take it to a larger set of people, and maybe make it easier for people who might have similar experiences as you. Um, that was one definite thought that I had in my mind. I was hugely influenced by Randy Pausch's The Last Lecture. Um, it's a beautiful book and it's a lovely lecture online. And I think it's the story of chasing your childhood dreams. And I have been hugely influenced by that. And I think, therefore, wanting to go after my hobbies or, getting to motorcycle riding helped me recognize two things. One, I can go into any terrain so long as I want to go.
Yeah.
I might fall down. I might fall down many times. And I will find people like I just told you about. But it is worth taking the journey. So I must do what I wish to do, irrespective of whether or not it is known territory, known terrain, easy to do, not easy to do, has been done before or not. And I think the most important thing for me was that, how do I want to die? I think I was very anxious that I would die soon and I wouldn't have done everything that I wanted to do before I died. So
Oh.
all of this came together, and I said, okay, I cannot be doing only what I'm doing.
So, what was it that took you towards caregiving and care initiative for caregivers?
So I was trying to answer this question that what is my life experience? What is my personal suffering? Or what is my thing that I can bring to the world? I was very envious of all the people who came from villages or small towns who could get an education and then go back to their village and say, okay, I'm going to change the lives of people in my village, right? I come from a family that relocated at the time of partition. So my great grandfather was in Lahore and my grandfather relocated to Delhi after the partition. So we don't really have an ancestral home to go back to. And if I did want to apply my learning and my professional experience back to some place, I don't have any such place. I did think about what would I want to apply. So I thought maybe I should go to, okay, we lived in cities, so we'll just go to people in cities. My life experience was that my father had a terminal illness, and we were very young when he had a very rare condition. It is called multiple system atrophy. Interestingly, March is the month of the awareness for multiple system atrophy. Multiple system atrophy is a neurological condition that affects your autoimmune system, and it is a rapid degeneration of the body. So the mind stays active, but the body ages very, very quickly. So my father, who was a pilot in the Air Force and therefore a very fit and strong man, um, in his late 40s, was uh, diagnosed after a prolonged and a very painful way of figuring out his illness, because at that time it was very, very rare, was steadily declining in his health. And when I look back at my experience at the point that I was looking at Caregiver Saathi, I thought that my life experience has been that of my dad's illness. So I first started something to create awareness around multiple system atrophy. But I felt that most people look at medical conditions, and multiple system atrophy had such few cases that it wasn't satisfying me enough. And I wasn't very close to the illness because I wasn't my dad's primary caregiver. My mom was his primary caregiver. So my real experience was being the caregiver to the caregiver.
Mm.
So if I had to marry my life experience with what I knew, then I could take my education and my professional experience, combine it with my life experience of being a caregiver to a caregiver. And I felt that building an organization that is like a companion to caregivers might be the answer for the purpose of my life.
Beautiful, beautiful concept and beautiful thought behind it. It's really it is actually going to be. I can see it's helping so many, and because here I would like to share my personal experience as well. My father went through not a very long, prolonged illness, but yeah, during last few months of his life, he was on bed, and my mom was primarily taking care of him. Obviously, my brother was around. I used to come once in a while, but then you can't be there with them all the time. So she was primary caretaker, and then you do have a professional caretakers to help them out. But at the same time, the emotional baggage and the trauma which they go through, I guess where you have come from and what you thought and why you thought this, I can relate to that really.
In for the longest time, I first thought that I was the caregiver to the caregiver,
Mm.
and that's what I'm doing. What I really did not see and which is true for all caregivers, is they don't see themselves as caregivers. I believe that I have been a caregiver too. In so many ways, I was the caregiver to my father as well, not just caregiver to the caregiver. I remember, it's a little bit of an emotional thing, but I remember two, three things. One was when his illness had to be diagnosed, and I was the only one in the house who could drive the car. And he had to be taken from one pathological lab to another. And sometimes the doctors would say this particular test in Delhi, and I took him to one place and they would say, oh, the machine is not working, you need to go to that particular place. And it was the peak of summer, and my dad also had leukoderma, so which meant that he was very sensitive to the heat. And not only was he unwell, he was also sensitive to the heat. And these guys would, just for the sake of those tests, make me travel and drive long distances. And as a 21, 22-year-old, I don't think I had the resources, mental, emotional, or physical, to handle that situation. One of the things that I haven't spoken about ever is I remember taking him to Safdarjung Hospital, and we were on the top of the stairs. And this man, who was this strong man who could carry two people on his back, my father, just collapsed. And I was all of 21. And this is Safdarjung Hospital. So everybody's busy. Nobody has anything to offer. And I had to literally carry him to the car. And I haven't spoken about this incident for a very, this incident is at least 25, 26 years old. I don't know what that 21-year-old girl went through. But it seems like it was a lot.
Can clearly see that, where it has led you to.
Yeah. But I think for me, the moment of truth was that a month ago, I was interviewing a candidate, and she said that she related with the idea of Caregiver Saathi because she was seeing a very ill person in her home. And she felt that she was a college-going girl who didn't know who she could talk to. Because, you know, friends are busy with other stuff, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And even if you have people to talk to, not every time you're comfortable talking about your emotional baggages which you're carrying, and it's not easy to share that.
Yeah, and for a college-going person, they don't know that, you know, it's not a common thing, right? So you don't want to talk about it. And she just said, well, I'm very grateful to you that I can at least talk about it. And for me, that is really the purpose, right? Absolutely. If a young woman today who is a caregiver has a space for herself, then it's worth it.
It's really difficult to actually even visualize what a child of 21 must have gone through. Like, you know, when you're talking about it, I can imagine. We do have a particular case in our family as well recently. I am seeing a child of similar age going through similar scenario, and it does happen. They don't know what to talk to and how to handle that situation, and that's where Caregiver Saathi can really be so much big support.
See, the other challenge for a young person who's a caregiver is also that usually when friends and family come, they come and they will say, you have to be strong.
Mm. It's not, it's
You,
not to be.
you have to be strong to support everybody in the house because, you know, you're the elder one, or now you have to take charge. And even if you do take on that responsibility, it means loss of childhood, it means loss of innocence.
Absolutely. Any particular story of any caregiver which you would like to share with us?
Oh my God, there's so
There
many.
might be many, but any one or two, or maybe one also probably, depending on the length.
So there's one that comes to me the quickest. Um, First of all, not too many caregivers are very willing to tell their stories. So even if they know everything, they will be willing to talk about illnesses like cancer, things that are obvious diseases. Those are easy. Mental health illnesses or mental illnesses or addictions or things that are not so well understood are harder to speak about. I'm going to talk to you about two mothers. There's one person that I spoke with who called me to ask me what was Caregiver Saathi about. And when I explained it to her, I said, so what do you need support on? So she said that, I have a child who has a severe cognitive disability and is 1 year old. And now I'm finding it hard to look after that child because now I have a second child. And I have actually been a banker, but now I have these two children to look after. So I have given up my job, and I don't know how to look after my elder child because now I have a younger child. And when I said, so what is the help that you need? She said, can you help me get a good nanny, a person who will look after the child just like I would? And when I asked her that, what do you need for yourself? She said, I don't need anything else. And if I asked her that, how does your partner or your family support you in this? She said, my husband is too busy and we live in a small nuclear family. And what do you miss the most? I wish I could do my job, but I don't think I deserve it because now I have two children to look after. You can make your own meanings out of this story. The second one, we were doing an awareness session for caregivers or parents of children with cerebral palsy. And as we were doing that session, it was, as you can imagine, they were small children, they were running around, and they had all kinds of levels of engagement, interest, etc. What else do you expect from children? And here was this very restless mother, and in the question answer session, she asked me, can I ask you something? And the question that she had was, I'm told my child has ADHD. I'm the only one who looks after him, but there are days I get tired and sometimes I slap him. Am I a good mother?
That guilt, oh my God, that's such a thing to happen.
Am I okay?
I know what you're coming from. It's that there's so many things within them. I think we can go on and on and on about these stories to share. You want to
I have another one to tell you, which is that, my parents' neighbor was this gentleman who I'm told would every evening be seen 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock on a walk with his 35-year-old boy in a wheelchair. Every evening, 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, clockwork discipline, he would take his cognitively challenged son for a walk and would always be in a state of bliss. I wouldn't say smiling, but he would always be in a state of bliss. And until we made friends with him, he was, I mean, that's it. That was his purpose. So there are, of course, gender differences in how caregivers are. I think when men are caregivers, they are recognized and appreciated a lot more than when women are. 78% of caregivers in India are daughters-in-law, and more than 80% caregivers are women. And caregiving is seen like an unpaid, important job that should be done just because you're a woman.
Absolutely.
And I have many, many stories to
tell. I know, I can see that. I mean, all right. With the short time span, we do have a lot of questions which we have in mind as well. Bhavana, any challenges that you faced during these years when you were conceptualizing, structuring the project, and now it's grown so big? And even now, I mean, there could be challenges which you might be facing. Any challenges which you are facing or you have faced which you would like to share?
Many. And I don't think we are yet big enough. we are a very small entity, and we're just starting off, and we need all the support that we can get. And literally, we are struggling on account of many things. The biggest challenge for me first was to conceptualize it. I think the biggest challenge has been to just explain the idea of a caregiver. Very often people think caregiver is that person that you hire. Nobody sees themselves as caregivers.
Absolutely. That's what, when you talk about caretaking, it's like you hire a caretaker and that person is taking care of the help. That's it. No, it's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah. So a lot of times, a lot of people call me and ask me and say that, can you help me get a male, a female in this particular location? And I recognize that that's a very important need, and that's going to be an increasing need.
Absolutely.
The first challenge was and continues to be is, so if this is your organization, what do you do? And how do you make money?
What exactly is it all about? Yes.
Yes. So, okay, I'm a caregiver, but then what will you do?
What do you mean that?
and so how do you make money? Remind me. Or what do I give and what do I get?
Yeah.
Because we are in a world where everything is so transactional and everything is about services.
Give and take. Everything is about.
Yeah. So for a very long time, initially, I used to say, I don't know. I don't know what we are doing and what we are getting and what we are getting paid for. I still don't have a very clear answer for it, but I do know that this is an important thing that has to be done. So my first thing to all the listeners would be, so if you can help me figure this out, please reach out to me. That said, we have defined our role as very clearly our target is the family caregiver, the person who is emotionally invested in the relationship, not the professional caregiver, because the challenges of the family caregiver are slightly different. Either the person could be deeply in love with the person, or the person could have strong baggages and yet may have the responsibility to take care of that person.
True.
So the emotional stake is high, 1. 2, the caregiving has to be provided over a long period of time, and it has to be provided in a situation that might potentially be hopeless or that might not have cure. So the person that you're looking after is not going to come back to normal. That person is actively dying. Now, that's one way to look at it, and that can be a lot of stress to take. Just to share a statistic with you, there are 19 crore people with a variety of incurable conditions in India as of 2020. So if there are 19 crore people affected by various illnesses, there are at least 19 crore caregivers.
Absolutely.
That said, the other big challenge that we have is that more than 80% of the caregivers are women who are not financially independent. And we are trying to provide them mental health support, which is a taboo.
Absolutely.
Yes, right? So we are saying that Caregiver Saathi is the mental health support or the psychosocial support for the family caregiver who is predominantly a woman who is financially dependent. So how can this person get the necessary support that she needs and be able to pay for it without feeling guilty or without deprioritizing herself? So if in a home there is 1,000 rupees and there is a person who is unwell, most likely the money will go to the medicine, the nutrition of the patient, the school fees of the children, the money left
The
for
priority is different. Absolutely.
So those are some of the challenges that we are trying to address. What we are doing right now is this. We believe that the first big hurdle for us to cross is to create awareness and sensitivity and training. So what we do is we conduct programs and we conduct sessions in which we help people understand, one, that you are a caregiver. Two, you could be a well-wisher of a caregiver. If you are a well-wisher of a caregiver, here are some things that you can do. If you are a caregiver, it is important to recognize that you are a caregiver and that you can take help, and these are the kind of help that you need, and this is where you can get this help. So providing them information, training, and an ability to manage their emotional health during caregiving is what we provide. We also provide counseling. We also provide coaching, which is caregiver coaching. So it could be not just life coaching, but understanding the caregiving circumstances of coaching, and take sessions once a month so that you can build the skills of endurance and resilience and be able to handle caregiving, which could be a marathon.
Absolutely. So you
And there are
offer
many.
these as a service, or I mean, I can see there are a lot of free resources also on your website. At the same time, you have some services which you offer for
Yeah.
these caregivers.
Yeah.
Would you like to share some insights about them?
At this point in time, since we are providing awareness and training programs, when we work with corporates, we have paid training programs that we do with organizations and hospitals. However, when we have our open webinars, in fact, I just finished one just before this session. Those are free webinars for people to attend and to learn. So if you follow our YouTube channel, you will be able to get access to some of the sessions. We did our 26th webinar today. Today we were talking about clinical depression and what caregivers can do when their loved one has clinical depression. So we are planning to come up with a set of services that caregivers can subscribe to. So if you are a caregiver, you can sign up for a monthly support package, or if you are a well-wisher of a caregiver, you can gift that package to a caregiver that you know. We have found that there are many times caregivers are not able to subscribe to the services. So their well-wishers can buy those packages for them. And that will include things like access to counseling, access to caregiving, access to expert advice that you might need for the overwhelm and the emotional issues that you're facing.
So you could be a well-wisher as well as a caregiver. So here, whoever is watching us, I'm sure whoever is there, there will know at least one or two people who they can see they are struggling with something or the other. If you find any one person also, feel free to connect them to caregiversaathi.co.in. Let them at least have a look at what the website is offering. You can just subscribe to their newsletter. I guess that is completely free for whoever can at least know what they are into. There are a lot of reading material which you can get, and you can go through their channel and listen to those talks and learn so much. And I guess that also will help so many of you. I mean, then
So,
comes the full package when you
yeah.
actually go and subscribe. So don't be scared that everything is paid out there. There are a lot of free resources also available. Start reaching out, and help is at hand. I must say that.
And here's what I'd like to say to people who are well-wishers of caregivers.
Hmm.
Don't ask the caregiver to come to the website or take the program. Take it for yourself.
Yeah, actually, because you also need to know so much more before you actually suggest anything to them.
Yes. So my request to well-wishers would be sign up and learn yourself. You have a huge influence in making the life of the caregiver easy, but you might not know how. So you might have the mental bandwidth to attend the programs, to attend our support group meetings, to learn from others and make it easy for the caregiver. So you might not be the caregiver yourself. It's okay.
Absolutely.
But please equip yourself so that you can help the caregiver. Many times, well-wishers visit and they ask about the patient. They don't even ask the caregiver, how are you?
True.
So learn how to build rapport with the caregiver so that over a period of time, the caregiver can trust you with tasks that you can do for them and reduce their burden. Give them a break.
So,
Let them go out for a coffee, a movie, a time out. Take their place. Well-wishers can tell caregivers it's okay if you are tired. It is okay if you are angry. Don't tell caregivers you should be strong. Don't tell caregivers, have you tried that alternate therapy? Have you tried that Falana Babaji, etc., etc.
here I can see so many of people are watching us, and everybody is really, they're getting inspired and they're really touched with the gesture of the concept which you have come up with. We do have, uh, I must name a few. First of all, I will name Leena Kakwani. First of all, Leena, thank you so much for connecting us. She wanted to know more about caregiver and how you came up with this concept. I guess, Leena, I've taken care of that question already. And she's listening to us. There are so many people listening to us. I'll just name a few. As I told you about my mom, she's also around. She's watching us. Kiran Langarji, Lata Vishwanathan ji, thank you so much for being there. Shashi Kala Kalkar ji from Bombay, Preeti Patwardhan, Neetu Tomar, Ekta Sachdeva, many more. We have motivational Kisse Kahani with Sunita. We have Sunita Agarwal here watching us. Achal is there from Malaysia. Wen Lin, thank you so much, Wen Lin, for your time. She is a caregiver as well. I am glad that you could join, Wen Lin. She is a caregiver in Hong Kong right now, and she belongs to Philippines, and she's a very our UBI member for a very long time. She writes poetry very well, and we all know. I think maybe all of us don't know about this. Our guest over here also loves to write poetry. And we have Divya, we have Achal, we have so many more people watching us today. And I think going ahead, anybody, in case if you have any other questions also, please feel free to ask us. What do you suggest? And maybe before that, if you want, I have this rapid fire round which I had. Maybe we can do the serious questions first, and then we go to the rapid fire round.
Sounds good. I just want to say one thing before you go there, which
Yeah,
is caregiving is not always heavy, hard, difficult, and dark.
absolutely. That's important. That's
Okay. Caregiving can be enjoyable, light, fun, and really beautiful.
absolutely.
One of the things that inspires me a lot is there's a story of the anthropologist Margaret Mead, and she says, so Ira Byock was her student, and who writes in her book actually, that in a conference, Margaret Mead was asked, across culture and across time, what do you think is a sign of a civilization?
Mm,
And Margaret, so the person who was asking was probably expecting her to say, when habitation came up, or maybe tools were there, or excavations led to something, something. Margaret Mead said that the first sign of civilization is a healed femur bone. The femur bone is the thigh bone. In the animal kingdom, if an animal breaks their femur bone, it is a sure shot sign of death. So if in a civilization you find a healed femur bone, it means that someone else bothered
to
to
take care.
take the person, bind up the wound, and care for that person till the person healed.
Mm,
So caring for another person is the first sign of civilization.
absolutely. As a human being, I think that's something which we all have, that instinct. Whatever said and done, there is that instinct of, like, taking care. When you are an elder sister, you take care of your younger brother. When you are a mother, you take care of the child. As a father, you take care of your son, your elders, whoever. I think that's a basic instinct. We all have it in us, just that we don't think about it, and we just take it for granted. So just be conscious about that and start doing what you can do wherever you are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Any future plans, or and okay, any particular advice for the caregivers who are listening to us?
First of all, you're important and you're special, and you are as important as the person that you're looking after. Second, caregiving can be a marathon, and prepare for it like a marathon. Look after yourself, take necessary rest, recoup, rejuvenate, and and just like it takes a village to bring up a child, it takes a village to care for someone. So enlist help. There is a lot of help available. Just like I told you, motorcycle riding, a lot of people would tell me, as a girl, if you went and something happened to you and whatever, how will you manage? People are very nice. This world is full of nice people. Ask for help. It's possible some people will not be able to help. That's their circumstance. That's okay. But that doesn't mean that we should not ask for help. Ask someone else.
Keep asking. I ask.
Yes. Ask, and the universe will give you as much, whatever you ask for.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite quotes used to be, the universe will give you whatever you ask for. Do not approach the ocean with a spoon in your hand.
Absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. So universe has so much to give you. Be ready to receive it. Get ready for
Absolutely.
that. Get ready for
Yeah.
that. Any future plans for maybe Caregiver Saathi or yourself? Anything which you would like to share with the audience today?
I can't wait to go to the Himalayas again on my motorcycle.
God willing, you'll go soon. I think with all
Thank
this
you.
vaccinations going on probably. Fingers
Yes,
crossed I'm
thank you.
back home soon as well.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Lots of plans. We really hope that more and more people will encourage and join and support Caregiver Saathi and help us get the message across. We are coming up with a whole new set of services in the month of April and May. So I hope that you will sign up and watch the space. I'm not at the liberty to talk about what we are going to be starting, but I can say that I'm very, very excited about it. It might just change the face of caregiving and healthcare. So, um, but we need ambassadors, we need volunteers. We are always looking for interns. So if you are invested in the area, you want to support us, then let us know.
Wonderful. I really wish that you get all the support from wherever possible. I really wish you all the best for this.
And more than anything else, encourage caregivers to join the support groups and listen to the programs and make the most of all the resources that we are putting out there.
Absolutely. All right. With all these serious talks, let's come to a rapid fire round. A few questions. You have time?
Absolutely. Let's go.
I know you have another meeting going to be, I think, lined up after the show. So that's why I asked, can we do?
Let's go.
All right. So here I go. State in 5 words, who is Bhavna? Only 5 words.
Passionate, curious, restless, grumpy, and an ideator.
I will say loving and caring. When you're caring so much about the caregivers, I think those are the first things which I could think of for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Any one, or just one single word to describe your life?
My life.
Yes, your full life. Till now, whatever.
Confusing.
Oh,
Uh,
yes, yeah, confusing.
No, I would say, so sorry, this is not a rapid fire, but my life.
One line. I give you a few more words.
Thank you. I'm at a loss of words. Okay. So,
Cannot be.
जो तू बीज है और तेरी किस्मत है खिलना, तो क्यों सिमट के रहना?
क्या बात है, क्या बात है. That's a poetess for all of us, darling. That's wonderful. Any regrets, Bhavna?
Yeah, one. One, perhaps the biggest regret of my life. So I was working in another city and my dad was unwell. I had started working and I was visiting my parents and I was about to go back to Hyderabad and my parents were in Gurgaon. And as I was leaving and I was about to leave to catch my flight, I think my dad chose a wrong timing. I can blame him, but anyway, I think he must have had something to say. So he said, Beta, I want to tell you something. I don't know if I will be around when you come back next time. And I got very upset and I didn't listen to him. And I got very angry and I told, what are you doing? Why are you bringing this up now? I have a flight to catch. And it became a huge drama. My mom stepped in and she said, don't do this, don't upset her. She has a flight to catch. And the thing But if there's a regret in my life, then it is this, that I didn't listen to what he wanted to tell me.
Maybe whoever's listening right now can take something from here. Don't take time for granted. Don't take things for granted. Give
Yeah.
that time to your people. Give that time.
Yeah. It's not, I came back and it's not like I didn't meet him the next time. I did, but we never brought up that conversation because he was afraid that he didn't want to upset me. And I think he was not just afraid, he was kind, that he didn't want to upset me. But I wish that how much ever difficult that conversation was, I had listened to him. Because many, many years and on many occasions, I have often wondered, what did he want to tell me?
क्या वो बात बताना चाहते थे?
Yeah.
Any desires that you wish to fulfill?
Many.
चलो
Many.
दो तीन तो बता ही दो अब. कुछ तो बता ही सकते.
So in addition to get back into the jeans that I used to wear a few years ago, in addition to want to go for a long ride again, or maybe own another nice bike, maybe travel around the world, maybe maybe have many more people just take and run with the idea of Caregiver Saathi, and I don't have to do anything. Maybe do a PhD.
Wow.
Maybe
I
don't know.
That's like a big long one.
Yeah, I have a very long list.
Maybe on the next show, all these wishes are all fulfilled, and then we have another list to be covered up in the next show when we meet you probably again.
अब अगर imagine ही कर रहे हैं तो might as well go the
सोचने में क्या जा रहा है? सोचो तो सही पड़ा. Think big. Obviously, there's no harm thinking and dreaming big.
Why not?
Why not? You can dream anytime.
Correct.
And you never know which dreams will be fulfilled, and when the God says Amen. Yeah.
We have to do what we have to do. God has to do what God has to do. That's his business or her business, whatever.
Your biggest fear?
Biggest fear? That I will live an insignificant life.
Oh, come on. Anyway, it's not anymore now. It is a very, very significant life, and you're making impact to so many lives. So it's not anymore. You can get rid of that fear. You can find another one, or maybe no fears at all. Biggest strength?
Mine? I'm very resilient.
That's what keeps you going. Your go-to place or a thing when you are under stress, your stress buster?
A motorcycle ride.
How could I not take that?
That's the easiest, fastest.
Actually, yes. Between a movie or a book, what do you choose?
Movie.
All right. Dog or a cat?
Dog, but I am leaning towards a cat, but most likely more dog. I have a dog.
You have a dog, right? I've heard that you are a pet lover as well. So you dote on your dog too much. Any story of your dog that you would like to share as a pet lover? Any pet lovers around would like to probably hear that.
So we rescued her, and she has a mind of her own. And, I love her for the fact that when she gets what she wants. So if she has been around for a while and, she feels the need to be pet, she will walk up to you. She will ask for the petting. And if you are getting too indulgent and she doesn't want that, she will just brush you off and go away.
Enough. Oh, yeah.
So she's partly a cat and partly a dog. And, but I love her for, being bindas about what she wants and asking for what she needs.
I guess that's what Bhavana is also all about. So that's why you love that.
I'm not sure I can easily ask for what I need, but I can learn from her.
Um, Between a beach holiday and a dance party.
Beach holiday.
Wow, I love you for that. So let's meet up in Goa probably next time on a live. Instead of a live show, we can do a straight face to face show next time, maybe in Goa, some beach.
Absolutely. Any day. Beach.
All right. With this desire in my heart, I will end my rapid fire here. And I really want to just go back once, check. All right. Lina is saying seen her taking. I've seen her taking care of your dog. Probably she stays around you, so she can connect to you. Yeah, many people who go through it, uh, being a caregiver, they are resonating with you what you were talking about and what exactly is caregiversaathi.com about. Saathi.co.in is all about. I got confused. So I think with this, we can take leave. Thank you so much, Bhavna, for giving your time, and thank you all the audience out there who has watched the program today. If you have not watched, and if you're watching it, and if in case you want to share it, you can there anytime share it with whoever you want to. Just share this link to anybody whom you think, or rather all your friends, because you never know who is actually in need and who is not in need. So just share it as much as possible so people know about there is a place to go to when you are a caregiver. You can reach out to them, and it's completely free to discuss or hear other story. I think I've also heard somewhere when you hear someone else's pain, your pain feels less. So if you go through something, it's always good to talk about it, or rather at least hear from others. You will find so many such stories on caregiversaathi.co.in, and you can read them, you can hear them, and you can feel their pain and feel your pain very much less in the process. And you can get that strength out of their experiences and their learnings. So, with this note, I think we can sign off for the evening. May all of you have a very happy and healthy life. And in case if there is any caregiver around the world, may God connect them to such caregiver sathis who can take care of their pain and anxiety. Bhavna, anything you would like to say uh, as an ending note?
One of the guiding lights for us has been some work that Rosalind Carter has done. Rosalind Carter is the wife of Jimmy Carter, President Jimmy Carter, and has been a big advocate for caregivers. She said something. She says something which has changed my perspective. She says there are only 4 kinds of people in this world: those who are caregivers, those who have been caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need caregivers.
So it's so important. It's so,
So,
so important. So we cannot brush away that requirement and that need. We can't just give a blind eye to it. We must open our eyes and work on this towards the goal that all the caregivers, whenever, whichever stage they will be in, get the support and be happy.
yeah.
Thank you very much, all of you.